out of 100, and it was the highest. It was the highest grade in the class. And so the teacher says, take this test to your parents and show it to your parents and tell them to put it on the refrigerator. And because you got the highest grade in the class by getting a 98 out of 100. So Jadena goes home to his father, and they're living in America at this point. And he goes home to his father and he says, look, Dad, look, I got a 98 out of 100. I got the highest grade in the class. I got 98 points out of 100. And Jadena says, his father looks at him and says, you have 98 out of 100. Where are the other 2 points? You go find them and bring them back to me. So Jadena has learned to accept nothing but perfection because of the test that he took. When you face a test and God is on your side, God will give you nothing but perfection. God will not give you 98% because we don't serve a 98% God. We serve a complete God. We serve a God who is eternal. We serve a God who is everlasting. We serve a God that at the sound of his voice, things have to happen. When God said, let there be light, there was light. When God said to separate the waters from the earth, it moved. When God said that man will be raised out of the dirt, and he breathed that breath of life, and he told him to get up and walk, guess what he did? He got up and walked. So when God says something, it has to happen. So when you go through a test, it's simply an opportunity for you to develop your testimony. Revelations 12 and 11 says this, that you are a conqueror by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of your testimony.
That's right, that's right.
So that means there are some situations that you will overcome, not because of what's right in front of you, but because of what you faced in the past. You will overcome your current situation because of something that you overcame in the past. You took a test that was past tense. After you took the test, you developed a testimony. Because of that testimony, it puts you in the position to pass the next test.
That's right. Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
So David understood that by giving his testimony and telling King Saul all that God had done for him, that it placed him in the position to be able to go and face Goliath even when no one else believed in him. And David had enough sense to know, more sense than some of us today, to know that it doesn't matter what's in front of you as long as you know the God that's behind you. It doesn't matter the situations that you're facing as long as you know the God that's guiding you through them. David had enough sense to know that I'm going to give you my testimony so that even though I'm an unlikely candidate, you know that I'm qualified to do this job.
All right.
Point number 3 is this, and we get to the end. David did not hide behind his insecurities.
Yes, right.
David did not hide behind his insecurities.
Yes.
Verse 38 says, so Saul clothed David with his armor and put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these. I have not tested them. So David took them off. There goes that test again. There goes that test again. I haven't tested this. I can't benefit in this situation from your testimony.
That's right. Amen.
Although your testimony is good, and although you've gone through some things yourself, and although I'm glad that God has brought you out, in this particular situation, your testimony is not what I need. I have to show the power of God in my own life. Okay, so David doesn't hide behind insecurities. And some of us, a lot of times, will hide behind our insecurities. We'll hide behind our insecurities. For example, some of us won't give our testimony because of the way the person next to you might look at you.
Yes.
Some of us want to make people think that we've been sitting in this church for our whole lives and that we ain't never been drunk before. Somebody don't want to give their testimony to say that, yeah, not only have I been drunk before, but I got drunk and I got behind the wheel of a car. Not only did I get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car, but I got into an accident. And not only did I get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car and get into an accident, but guess what? I'm here right now to tell you about it. I'm here to tell you what God has brought me out of. David didn't hide behind his insecurities. Some of us will hide behind our insecurities and be ashamed to say that someone hurt us. And that's the reason why you can't have a successful relationship, because you can't get over the fact that your mama wasn't there or that your daddy wasn't there. So now you can't love someone else because you had never experienced the love that you're trying to put out. You can only put out what you've experienced. And so you hide behind those insecurities, and instead of saying, I need help because I don't know how to to love this person, I'm going to hide behind that insecurity and mistreat the people so that they don't understand that really I'm hurting. People will hide behind their insecurities. This is you Sunday school has started. The people talking about you, this is really corny. And I used to be so mad when the teachers would say stuff like this because nobody believed that it was true. But as I got older, I understood that this is the truth. The people who always got their mouth on you and the people who's always talking about you and got something to say, it's really they got something to say about you because you got something that they want.
That's right.
They got something to say about you because you're in a position that they want to be in.
All right.
You know, they'll call you spoiled and things like that because you have both parents in your home and things like that. But don't worry about that because God has placed you in that position for a purpose. David did not hide behind his insecurities. David did not say, you know what, I don't care what's going on. Y'all didn't pick me in the first place, so I'm not going out there at all. No, David didn't hide behind his insecurities. David went to the king and went to King Saul and said, you know what, not only am I going to do this because of the God that's behind me, but I'm not going to try to cover myself with all the stuff that you're trying to put on me. Don't put your mess on me because I can't move in your mess. Don't put your mess on me because I've never been tested in that area. There's some things that you're more qualified to deal with because you've been tested in that area. All this armor and all this bronze, this ain't going to do nothing but slow me down. If I try to walk in your path, it's going to slow me down. If I try to walk in your shoes, they're going to be too big or too small. But if I simply do whatever it is that God has called me to do in the way that God has called me to do it, I will do just fine. David did not hide behind his insecurities. Your insecurities will oftentimes try to get you to be someone and something that you're not. See, Saul was the king at the time. Your insecurities will also cause you to jump the gun. David was anointed king, but he had not been appointed king. And he's in the presence of the current king, Saul. Saul tries to give him his kingly armor to go out there and fight a kingly battle, and David denies the armor. Because he says, I'm not yet ready for this armor. I've been anointed king, but this is kingly armor. Even though I've been anointed, I've not been appointed, so I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not going to try to be something in someone that I'm not. Okay, so we oftentimes have to understand just because God has given you the end result, it doesn't mean that you're ready for it right now. And so sometimes we have to take the proper steps and channels to be able to get to that end result, but we have to keep in mind that we can't go down the path that someone else goes down. Everything that worked for me ain't gonna work for you.
That's right.
And everything that works for you is not gonna work for me. But we can get to the same destination. So David did not try to hide behind the insecurities, and he did not try to say, I know that I'm too young to be out here. And he didn't say, I know I'm really not qualified, and I know y'all really didn't want me in the first place, but if I put the king's stuff on, then y'all might like me. David said, I don't care if you like me. Take all your stuff back. I don't need you or your stuff. I'm going to do this with me and my God. So David does not try to hide behind his insecurities.
All right.
David had trusted that God had already provided him enough. David trusted that God had already gave him what he needed to succeed against the giant that he was facing. David had already told you that I faced a lion and a bear, and I'm going to face Goliath just like I faced the lion and the bear. When David faced the lion and the bear, he didn't have no armor when he faced the lion and the bear. So if I'm going to face Goliath just like I faced the lion and the bear, why would I put on armor now? Why would I switch what's been working? If God's been blessing me this far, why would I stop trusting him now? If God has brought me out from the paw of the lion, why would I stop trusting him now? If God has then brought me out from under the paw of the bear, why would I stop trusting him now? If God has brought you out of the hospital before, why would you stop trusting him just because you got a bill due? If God has paid your bill before, why would you stop trusting him just because one of your friends left? If one of your friends have left before and you made it out of that, why would you stop trusting God because you lost your job? If God has provided you with another job, why would you stop trusting God when you start seeing people not there for you the way you there for him? If God has brought you out before, why would you stop trusting him now and try to change the formula now after it's proven true over and over again? David said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to trust God for what he's done before because I know that he's consistent. And the way that he brought me out before is the same way that he's going to bring me out now. He's already provided me with what I need to win. When I face the lion and when I face the bear, I have my slingshot. When I face the lion and when I face the bear, I have my staff. And that's all I needed to win. And so when I go out to face Goliath, I'm going to take the same things that I had then that were preparing me for this very moment to beat Goliath. Now, here's the thing. Y'all wondering what this has to do with the title of this message. Y'all wondering what the story of David has to do with the title, This is a Setup. And I'm glad y'all wondering that, because if you're wondering that, that means your brains are moving.
That's right, amen.
I'm going to explain to you what this has to do with the title of this message. On August 20th, 2013, at Randall E. McNair Discovery Learning Center, Antoinette Tuff found herself face to face with an armed gunman holding an AK-47. He had 500 rounds of ammunition in his book bag. The gunman's name was Michael Hill. He was threatening to not only kill everyone in the building, but to take his own life as well. Michael forced Antoinette to call 911 and the local news station to let them know that he was in the building and he was there for a reason. The entire interaction between Michael and Antoinette was recorded, as Antoinette never hung up the phone after she made the 911 call. Antoinette reasoned with Michael, explaining to him that he had more options to deal with the pain other than the one that he was currently choosing. Michael felt as if he had no hope and nothing to live for because of all the heartache he had gone through in his life. Antoinette was able to empathize with Michael, explaining to him that she too had gone through heartache. She explained that she had a son with multiple disabilities, including being legally blind and confined to a wheelchair. She also, on top of all of that, had lost her husband. Her husband left her, up and left after 33 years of marriage. He walked out suddenly on her and her son. While being interviewed, Antoinette was asked how she had the courage and the know-how to deal with Michael on that level. She responded, "I asked God," and I quote this, "I asked God what to do and what to say because of the state that I was in because of my ex-husband. I was sensitive enough to God to be able to know what to do." She continued to explain in her interview that she knew the events in her life were preparing her to deal with this one moment. Antoinette went on to say that Michael Hill passed several schools before coming to her school. He even parked right beside her car. She says, and I quote, "I was not even supposed to be in the front office that day. I was actually filling in for the secretary. And I was late because I got a call from the bank that said they wanted $14,000 in 2 days." God, this is Antoinette talking, says, "God was ordaining all of it from the minute my ex-husband left me. I know that at that moment I needed to have all of that go on, or I wouldn't have been ready." Okay, this is the end, so y'all done slept through the whole thing, so let me wake y'all up real quick. Antoinette says that at that very moment, staring down the barrel of an AK-47, she realized that all the heartache she dealt with was leading up to prepare her for that moment. Antoinette said that from the moment her husband left her and her disabled son, from the moment that she failed in an attempt to commit suicide, from the moment that the bank called her and made her late for work because they wanted $14,000 in 2 days, from the moment that she pulled into the parking lot in that very spot for Michael Hill to park right next to her, from the moment that that secretary, for whatever reason, was not there and Antoinette had to fill in for her, for the moment that the gunman walked in and chose her out of all the other office workers, she knew that God said this was a setup. Yeah, this is not a setup in the way that we look at it. We look at a setup as somebody set us up for failure. We look at a setup as somebody has put in place place a series of unfortunate events for our demise. But God says, no, when I set you up to win because you're my child. And when you're my child, you're an heir to what I have. And if I can't lose, that means you can't lose either. So Antoinette had enough sense to know, she says, I'm thinking about all of these situations and my life is flashing before my eyes. And she says, I knew at that moment that this was a setup. David, when facing the lion and the bear, and when Goliath, he had the opportunity to face Goliath, he knew at that very moment that everything that happened in his life was a setup. When his father didn't call his name to be presented as a candidate for the next anointed king, that was a setup for when he got into the presence of the king, and the king says, why do you think you should be the one to go out and fight Goliath? That was a setup. David had already dealt with rejection, so David already knew how to overcome that rejection. It was a setup. When David learned how to fight with what he had, just that staff and just that sling and just those rocks, that was a setup, because he said, God said, when you go and you get ready to fight Goliath, they're going to try to give you some extra stuff. They want you to try to fight this spiritual war with earthly weapons. Yeah, the Bible says that we don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight a spiritual war, and you can't fight a spiritual war with earthly weapons. Hey, guess what, Michael Hill? Antoinette Tough, she's a Christian. Yeah, she said that she knew that God was with her. She said that she was secure in her faith in God. When interviewed, she was asked, did you ever think that your life would end at that moment? And she said, no, that was never a thought that crossed my mind, because I knew that God was with me. So when David was preparing to go and to see the king, and the king tried to give him all this extra stuff, David says, no, I can't take this because I've already been prepared with what I need. This was a setup. And so when David goes out to fight Goliath, and Goliath laughs at him, that's the same thing his brothers used to do to him when he was out there writing his poetry. They would laugh at him. Look at David out there on that soft stuff with the sheep and smelling like mess because he's the shepherd, and we out here playing basketball and football, getting scholarships and things like that, and David is the softy in the family. But what they didn't know was that the laughter that they faced David with was a setup, because when David stood in front of Goliath, Goliath laughed just like his brothers did, but that didn't deter David because it was a setup. And when David picked up those stones, yeah, it wasn't the stone that killed Goliath. It wasn't David that threw the stone that killed Goliath. It was the God in David that used David to use the stone to kill Goliath. And what I'm trying to explain to you on today, and y'all sleep on it, but I'm hoping that you wake up before you get home, is that God has already prepared you for what you need to face whatever it is that you're going through. Some of y'all left a situation right this morning that almost kept you from coming to church today. And the devil tried to distract you and deter you from coming here right today, just so you would not hear this. But I come here to tell you that God has already provided you with what you need. Just because you may not see it right now, it's already there. When David went to face Goliath, he didn't have the rocks already. He had to pick them up where he was at. God has placed some things, and all you got to do is go there, and he'll have your supplies waiting on you. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I don't care if it's sickness. I don't care if it's health. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's relationship. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care if it's psychological. I don't care what the devil is coming against you with. God has already prepared you to win in the situation. This was a setup. The moment that man left you, it was a setup. The moment that woman left you, it was a setup. Hey, guess what? The moment your son left this earth, it was a setup for God to set you up for something better. For something better. God is setting you up. God is setting you up. Some of y'all won't even fall into the trap. Guess what? I'd rather be trapped by God than led by someone else. Some of y'all will fall into the trap because you want to be stubborn, because it don't look the way you think it should look. But God is trying to explain to you that I'm setting you up. If I gave you the steps first, you would be disobedient to the steps. But if I never tell you the steps, then you don't know where you're supposed to go. So I'm just going to place you where I need you to be, because guess what? This is a setup. Your whole life is a setup for this very moment. Everything, the car that you don't know that almost hit you this morning, yeah, God set that up for them to almost hit you, because almost don't count. You had to be here to hear this today, because this is a setup. And I just want to encourage you before I take my seat. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what the giants are in your life. It doesn't matter the rejection you face. It doesn't matter the laughter that has gone out on your behalf. It doesn't matter the people who have counted you out. It doesn't matter your loneliness. It doesn't matter your sociological status. It doesn't matter your intellectual capacity or IQ. God has set you up to do exactly what He wanted you to do. And all you have to do is be obedient to Him, and God will set you up to win.